Picture this. The year is 1469. A once mighty king, Edward IV, sits on the throne of England. He's victorious, confident, seemingly untouchable. But far away, in the shadows, his most powerful ally is plotting his downfall. Within months, a rebellion will tear the kingdom apart, and this golden king will find himself a prisoner. Have you ever wondered how a ruler could win a throne, only to risk losing it all because of his own choices? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of history, ASU's most dramatic betrayals, the story of a king and the man who made him. To understand how this crisis began, we need to rewind the clock just a few years. Our story starts in 1453. England, as glory, had collapsed with the devastating end of the 100 Years' War. The defeat at the Battle of Castillon didn't just shatter national pride, it broke King Henry II. The king descended into madness, leaving a gaping power vacuum at the heart of the kingdom. This void ignited a deadly feud that would stain the English soil with blood for decades. The Wars of the Roses. On one side, the House of Lancaster, led by the formidable Queen Margaret of Anjou, held the throne by possession. On the other, the House of York, led by the ambitious Richard, Duke of York, claimed a superior bloodline. Both families were descended from the great King Edward III, and both believed they had the rightful claim. Civil war was inevitable. The conflict reached a brutal climax in 1461 at the Battle of Towton. Fought in a blinding snowstorm, it was the bloodiest and largest battle ever fought on English soil. When the snow settled, victory belonged to the Yorkists. Richard's charismatic son, Edward, was crowned King Edward IV. At just 19 years old, he was everything Henry VI was not: tall, handsome, and a victorious warrior. For a moment it seemed that peace was finally within reach. England had a new king, a new dynasty, and a new hope. But behind that victory, behind the crown itself, stood one colossal figure: Richard Neville, the 16th Earl of Warwick. He was known throughout Europe by a name he had earned: the Kingmaker. Warwick was the wealthiest and most powerful nobleman in England. His money funded the Yorkist cause, his armies won their battles, and his brilliant political strategy built Edward's throne from the ground up. He was more than an ally. He was the architect of the new regime. But here's the thing about making a king. Kings rarely stay grateful. The very power that brings them to the throne can become a threat once they are on it. And Edward IV was a man who wanted to be his own master. The first crack appeared in 1464. While Warwick was deep in negotiations on the continent, trying to secure a prestigious royal marriage for Edward with a French princess, King Edward made a shocking secret move. He revealed he was already married, and not to a foreign princess, but to Elizabeth Woodville, a beautiful widow from a minor gentry family, a commoner by royal standards. For Warwick, this wasn't just a political setback, it was a public humiliation. He had been negotiating on the king's behalf, completely unaware that the king had already made his own choice. He was made to look like a fool in front of the entire European political stage. The trust between the king and the Kingmaker had been fractured. Warwick tried to hold on to his influence, continuing to push for an alliance with France, England's traditional enemy, believing it was the best path to lasting peace. But 3 years later, in 1467, Edward struck again, delivering a final crushing blow to Warwick's authority. Edward allied England with Burgundy, France's sworn enemy. For Warwick, this was the ultimate betrayal. His entire foreign policy, his years of work, were cast aside in favor of a new direction championed by the Woodville family, who were now swarming the royal court. The Kingmaker was being systematically pushed aside, his counsel ignored, his power undermined. The man who had made a king was now being treated like an inconvenient servant. By 1469, Warwick had had enough. The humiliation was too great, the loss of power too complete. For 2 years he had plotted in silence. He reached out to discontented nobles, forged secret alliances, and quietly gathered his troops. On the surface, England was calm, enjoying a rare moment of peace under its popular king. But beneath that calm, a rebellion was brewing, ready to explode. The question was no longer simply who should rule, but who could be trusted. England now stood on the precipice of another civil collapse. In London, King Edward IV ruled, but his authority was crumbling from within, weakened by his own actions. In the north, Warwick, the betrayed Kingmaker, was preparing for open revolt, ready to unmake the very king he had created. And across the Channel, the exiled Lancastrian Queen Margaret of Anjou watched and waited, her own army ready to seize any opportunity. One mistake, one new alliance, one battle could decide everything. So, what do you think? Was Edward IV a bold ruler, rightly asserting his independence from an overbearing subject? Or was he a reckless, ungrateful king who carelessly destroyed the very foundation of his own power? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the deadly politics and personal betrayals of medieval England, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. The story is far from over. In the next episode, we'll explore exactly how this simmering betrayal erupted into open war and how the Kingmaker sought his ultimate revenge. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. The visuals within this presentation are crafted to enrich your understanding, serving as artistic interpretations and contextual aids rather than direct factual representations. Their purpose is to illuminate the narrative and deepen your engagement with the historical backdrop. Join our growing community of history enthusiasts. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support keeps history alive.